Greetings, Dr. Siaw Li and my fellow team members. My name is Baja from CS1105E, and today I will be presenting on the introduction. Levine's Secret Recipe is our title for the case study. In our case study, we use matrix. What is matrix? Matrix is a rectangle or square matrix that consists of an array of numbers or variables. The matrix is arranged in the form of rows and columns. Elements or entry is known as individual items in a matrix. In our daily lives, we can use matrices to solve the problems. For example, buying ingredients at a supermarket, calculate our daily budget, and more. With matrices, we could avoid problems such as budget overspending. For our case study, we chose matrix to solve a budget planning in order to do grocery. In this example, we use matrix to help Levine to choose the best ingredients in order to bake 3 cakes. Which is the best cake that he able to bake in order to have more than 3 cakes from a recipe. In our case study, we have 2 objectives. The first one is to determine on how many cake that Levine can bake with a given budget from the multiple choices of recipe. The second one is to prevent overspending from the given budget to buy the ingredients.
Methodology. In this case study, we were using matrix multiplication to solve the problem. We will calculate the total price of each ingredient needed for making each cake. Cake A, Cake B, Cake C. Numbers in the first matrix are the amount of ingredients needed to make each cake. Each row in the first matrix represents the ingredients needed to make each type of cake. Cake A, Cake B, Cake C. Meanwhile, each column in the first matrix represents different type of ingredients to make the cakes. So first column is for flour, second column is for eggs, and the third column is for butter. Second matrix is the price for each type of ingredients, flour, eggs, and butter. So we need to find the product of the 2 matrices in order to find out which cake costs the lowest to make. The first row in the first matrix will be multiplied with the second matrix according to the type of the ingredient and its price. Same goes to the second and the third row. After done multiplying, total of each product will be summed up to find the final total for cost to make each cake. So the final matrix will have the size of 3 by 1, where each row of the matrix represents the cost for making cake A, cake B, and cake C.
So here we have problem statement. Levine have 60 ringgit to make a cake. He requires to make more than 1 cake with a given budget. How many cakes can he make if he has to choose from those 3 cake recipes? And what is the price of the cake will be? Next is the result part, where we can see here from here, which is a step 1, we have transformed from the table to the amended form. As you can see here, there is a 2 matrix here, where the first matrix is shown that the quantity of the ingredient that needed, and the second matrix is where the price for each ingredient. Next, the second step is we multiply and add the numbers from the amended form, and then final step is the answer. This is the answer for each cake, which is 19 ringgit and 50 cent is for cake A, 31 ringgit for cake B, and 34 ringgit and 50 cent for the cake C after we multiply all the ingredients with the price for each ingredient. Next is conclusion, which is you can see here, cost for cake A is 19 ringgit and 50 cent. Cost for cake B is 31 ringgit, and cost for cake C is 34 ringgit and 50 cent. The most suitable cake with Levine budget, which is the budget was given to him is 60 ringgit, will be cake A. And then, in order for us to get how many Levine able to bake a cake, we divide 60 ringgit with the cost for the minimal for the minimal equal after we get the result is for cake A, which is 19 ringgit and 50 cent. 60 ringgit divided by 19 ringgit and 50 cent, we got 3.07, which is equally to 3 whole cake for the Levine to bake, which is we have the remainder is 1 ringgit and 50 cent.
Finally, discussion. To have Levine, we decided to choose the metric operation, which is metric multiplication method, to find the solution for his problem. The result indicates that Levine only can make 3 cakes at most, using the only budget that he has, which is 60 ringgit. If he does not choose the right method to solve the problem he is facing, he will run out of budget or waste some of the ingredients for his cake. Then, possibly he will suffer some loss just because he misused his budget. That is why we choose to do this project to have Levine and decide which method we should use to determine how much cake that he can bake with given budget and with multiple choices of recipe. Therefore, in order to find out which cake is suitable with Levine's budget, he has to multiply each ingredient for each cake. Then, Levine have to sum it up to know the final total for each cake. Therefore, after summing up the final total, he was able to find out which cake that is suitable with his budget. Final total for making one cake for each cake are 19.5, 31, 34.5. Meaning that to make cake A, it will cost 19 ringgit and 50 cent, cake B costs 31 ringgit, and cake C costs 34 ringgit and 50 cent. Therefore, the most suitable cake with Levine's budget is cake A, as it is low cost. After finding out which cake is suitable, Levine wanted to know how many cake he can produce with his budget. To find it out, he has to divide his budget with the cost for cake A. After calculating that, Levine found out that he can make 3 whole cakes with his budget with the remainder of 1 ringgit and 50 cent.
특별해진 오늘의 어울림